had a thought. A thought is percolating into the brain.
Okay.
Something is occurring to me. Perhaps what you should do is, you know how some people do that thing in D&D where they say like, oh, I don't track the monster's HP. I just say my players kill the monster when it feels narratively fun. Right? You know,
that's insane. That's madness. I've heard that before.
So
fascinates me. Love to try it. I think I would actually have an aneurysm.
yeah, like I'm not a huge fan because of the kind of game D&D is. But with Lancer, maybe the move here is when you're doing the mech combat, you make everything crunchy and mathy and do the tactical thing, because at this point your players are A, probably used to it, and B, I assume at least some of them are probably having fun learning the tactical mech combat stuff. So you do that when you do the mech combat. You then use the pilot combat as a break, as a de-stressor, and just kind of throw rules out the window. Not 100%, but a little bit, and sort of ignore, like, don't worry too much about damage numbers and like stats and shit, and just say, when we're in mech combat, I'm just gonna make calls as I feel like they work. And, you know, obviously you want to try and be consistent, right? But the thing that I always say, and as far as I can see holds up to be true in every example I've noticed, players don't care if something feels like difficult or like insurmountable or whatever, as long as it feels fictionally consistent. So if you say there's a Gamook, just some Joe McGuy with a shitty pistol at the end of the hall, and the player unloads a clip into that guy, and you say, but he's still up, the player's gonna be like, what the fuck? Why is he's just some security guard dude? Why is he still up after I just unloaded on his ass? But if you say there's a dude at the end of the hall armored in full battle armor with a fucking riot shield, and the player unloads, and you say, oh, he's still up, the player's gonna be like, well, yeah, that makes sense. He's armored to the tits. So you could just use the pilot combat sections as just narrative story, freeform, make a roll, do a thing, make a roll, do a thing, make a roll, and just do it like that, and just let the pilot combat stuff be, or the pilot action stuff be, lower stress, like just more casual, and then the mech stuff is the higher stress. Like, you could use it as an interesting tool to switch between the two modes. I've never personally tried that, but as I was thinking about it, it sounded like it could be a potentially fun idea. So
it could, and I might try that. Like, I might, yeah. There's a solid chance that I give that a shot, because it is simpler. And it is, there's no other way to put it. It's easier to do.
Yeah, it feels a little I think the designers were actually kind of intending to try and do what I was just saying. They maybe just didn't quite execute it 100%, or maybe they just didn't execute it in a way that gels with your brain in particular, or whatever. That could be it too. Because it feels weird just from a basic conceptual level. It does feel odd to have like a pilot confrontation be as crunchy as a mech confrontation, given how much crunchiness there is in the mech confrontations in that game. So
right, and I think maybe that's sort of the crux, is that I don't know if the game 100% knows what it wants to be when it comes to pilot combat.
I think the intention was for pilot combat to feel like you're running Apocalypse World, but perhaps the execution just wasn't quite there.
Maybe. And it seems like I'm shitting on this game to those of you who are listening. I'm not. I love Lancer. I love it a lot. It's not perfect, and this to me feels like one of its biggest flaws. And given how much I like this game, the fact that this is one of its biggest flaws, it's something that, it irks the fuck out of me.
Right. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have there's gonna be little bits of elements of any game that you're like, I like this game a lot, except for this one stupid fucking thing. You know, that's always gonna be the case. It's pretty rare that you don't feel that way about a game in general. I mean, that's true of like video games too, right? Like, pick your fucking, like, what's it? Oh, this, I don't know why this popped in. I guess because we were talking about DMC before. Devil May Cry 1. Oh, I fucking love that game. It's sick. And then there's that one stupid floating platform bit that makes me want to rip my teeth out. You know, like,
Yeah.
that's normal. The stupid floating platforms to get the fucking, I think it was the gauntlet weapons at the top of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck that noise. Right? Like, so it's normal. You like a game a lot, and then it has this one bit that you're like, God, this shit can kick rocks.
Oh God, not kick rocks. That's such a southern thing to say.
Is that a southern thing? I didn't know
That
was
is
southern.
the
I feel like I hear people say that up here.
I've heard it up north, but everyone down here uses kick rocks.
Weird.
Everybody
Okay.
uses kick rocks.
So specific, but all right.
I know, it's odd.
It's weird. Yeah, I don't know. I am sort of, I don't know, everyone go buy a lotto ticket because I'm suggesting something really out of character here. I am kind of suggesting just fucking ignore the game, which I know is weird because I basically never say that, but that might be the move in this scenario.
It might be, and you know what? I will actively give that a shot next combat, or I'll try to remember to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll
Also,
see. And
You have already tried it a bit, so it's not like you're completely ignoring the game.
yes, true.
You're not
True.
doing it from
I
the
did.
jump.
I literally did do the thing, right? I did the thing we always say to do. Do it rules
Yes,
as written first, and
do
then
it as written. Yeah.
start iterating. So
And,
yeah,
you know,
I mean, like,
It's funny too, because kind of thinking about it, even when I was skimming through Lancer a bit forever ago, I do remember getting reading the like pilot conflict rules and thinking that I was like, huh, that's kind of odd that it works that in that fashion. Like I remember that little moment of like interesting choice, you know?
yeah.
So perhaps I hadn't. Perhaps my instinct was on point there, or maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to do it myself to like really say how I feel about it, obviously. But you know,
I want to see you run Lancer. I think you'd.
I don't want to run that game
Why?
because I hear about the kind of prep things you have to do and the way that you run enemies in that game.